Everybody, Small Business Talk with Jerry. I'm still Jerry, so we are all set tonight. Uh, we're missing a co-host. We had someone got their dates screwed up, so Andrew's got to put up with me tonight, just me. But tonight we have Andrew Bergan from Bergan Windows and Doors. I'd like you to introduce yourself, Andrew.
Well, hello everybody. Yeah, Andrew Bergan. Started my company about 5 years back. Had the opportunity to business partner with a gentleman who was in the siding and window business. So it kind of gave me a segue to be able to hey, you learn a little, but as much as I was helped learn, I still had to learn so much on my own that it was hey, you have the opportunity, the work is there, but you need to kind of figure out how to talk to clients, how to do the work, everything except for having the job. So we've done a majority of things. We've done decks, roofs, siding, windows, a lot of your interior and exterior remodeling. We can tackle basically all of it. I moved into a general contracting position to be able to handle bigger projects.
Oh, great.
But my scope is really that I want to be the guy for windows and doors.
Okay.
Take it to the next level where we're doing whole window walls, skylights, looking at a room and seeing how you can really up the whole ambiance of it rather than just slinging windows.
Sure.
That's something that I'm passionate about, so I'm trying to take the business and wedge it in that direction.
Sure. So that's how many employees have you got?
I've got 2 employees.
Okay.
They've been with me for 3 years for one of them, 2 years for the other. Good quality people. Something that I like about my company is that we separate the professionalism. Where a lot of companies, it seems like the crews are a little rough.
Yeah.
They get the job done. The beast needs to be fed.
Right.
But I'm blessed that our crew is a little more polished, or at least I'm proud of them.
Sure.
So yeah, anytime I go into a client's house, I can be me or the other 2 can show up, and I got no beef with it.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, because there's something to be said for compartmentalizing your business.
Mm-hmm.
But when that works great when you're a larger company, you know, when you're a small company, it's boy, that cross training is important.
Mm-hmm.
And then the faith in those people that they're cross trained properly and they can handle the job when you're not standing there.
Which is a valid point that you bring up. It's cool to see how many holes there are or how many pieces that you really need to pour a lot of time and effort into. Yeah. They might know how to do trim work, but do they know how to do the entire window install and watch out for the little thing over here that suddenly made the whole thing go awry?
Yeah.
So you can't just slap it in the hole. It's sometimes it's holes too big or not big enough.
Right. It's right. Yeah. How precise do you have to be? It's there's a reason we have trim.
Yeah, exactly. Thank God for trim. Just gonna have to make it a little bit bigger.
Right.
Yeah. No, my old business partner, he told me it's a series of compromises. And as much as that doesn't sound beautiful, it's the reality of business. Yeah. You're gonna have issues. You're gonna have to figure it out because it's not all cookie cutter.
Right.
New construction, it makes it a lot easier because you're it's all gonna be an inch shorter on the sides and top and bottom. Your window's going to fit perfect.
I was going to say, depending on who you're following.
Yeah.
I mean, there's that too. Yeah. Like you said, a lot of these crews, some of those guys are
just
rough.
Slinging.
Yeah.
Yep. I enjoy that because it allows the opportunity for you to stand out.
Yeah.
Though it's not ideal to have your competition be less than perfect, and I'm not saying that we are by any means. Everybody has their areas in which they can improve, but it's like finding the perfect person or a friend. You're well, if everybody else is doing a pretty crummy job, it's going to be pretty easy to find friends because you're already at the top of the food chain.
Right.
But it's equally as incentivizing when you have somebody they're killing it.
Yeah.
They're leaving me in the dust and I got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
A little bit of stick, a little bit of carrot.
Right. I mean, you got to keep people motivated. That's a big thing when you're the owner. When your employees are bored, they're just doing the same thing day in and day out.
Very good point.
It's well, so you pay them more. Well, you can pay them more because that will motivate some people. But at the end of the day, if you're paying them because they're bored, but you're not taking care of the boredom, it's
it goes so far.
Right. That's it. And chances are, if they're bored, how much more are they worth?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes you gotta look at that elephant in the room and go, I don't know what to do with that. The value is I'm not getting the value back, and that's a tough role, to hoe for sure.
And it's something that I'm working on, but I'm figuring out. I've gone through, I think I've had like 7 employees, and I'm down to 2 now. So I've had to let a couple of them go. But you see a different personality in each person,
Hmm.
and some of them, think that they're worth this, and they're actually worth that.
Yeah.
But I got 2 employees right now. The two that I have are very responsibility driven. So if you give them a big task, it's like sometimes they'll think they can handle it, and you're like, I know you can't. But I love the fact that they're like, ooh, they get excited, they get woken up because
Yep.
they're like, oh boy, this is hey, you got to get your stuff together, you got to get it right,
Right. Right.
and they're motivated by that. One of them's a little bit more financially motivated, one of them's more time off motivated.
Sure.
It's just such a funky concept to see how that this works amazing. Like a 95% effective with this one over here. You try and use that on the other one, 50%, 40% effective. They just don't care.
Yep.
It's like, what? But you can
Yep.
take and pit those against yourself and be like, oh,
Wow.
okay, I see it matters for them, but it doesn't matter for me. Okay.
Well, two income families are a big factor in that. When you have, let's say you've got the husband's out there working his wife through school kind of thing, and he's busting his hump and he's trying to make things work, take care of everything. Wife gets through school, gets a real job. Now she's making real money. She's the breadwinner in the family.
Mm-hmm.
Now all of a sudden your great employee who was kind of money driven, now he's like, yeah, I'd rather have a little time off, because mom was making money, and or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
The husband's making really good money, and the employee is his wife is your employee, whatever the case is. But it's like all of a sudden when that dynamic changes, or like all of a sudden you got a couple kids come along, and it's like, ooh, I need time with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's hard to be that boss that goes, you need to work. It's like, no, you signed up for 40 hours a week, or like in your business, you make hay when the sun shines. It's like, well, we can put in 65 hours this week because I don't know what's coming next week, but the work's here now. And that's hard when you get into a family scenario, and you don't want to be, like I say, the last thing you want to be is that boss. It's like baseball game. I didn't go to my kid's baseball game. You don't want to be that guy. So, or like for you where you don't have kids yet, it's a little tougher to relate to, how important those little league games are, or things like that.
Mm-hmm. You can take and turn that a little introspective though, and still see the opportunities that you're losing by working a ton of hours. So I've been, working with a business coach, and he's
Yeah.
been sitting me down. And he's like, well, where's the health and fitness compared to the business success, compared to the financial, and you've got to balance everything. And I was like, oh, we're pretty darn good on the health and fitness and like the business success, but we're low on the personal and family development area. And I'm like, you can clip through a couple of years pretty fast.
Right.
It's something you need to be.
You can't get them back.
Mm-hmm. So whether it's somebody else's time that you're wasting or opportunities with them for their sake or for your sake, you have to stay awake.
Yep, you do, and it's and balance is important, but difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Very difficult. I mean, I had virtually no balance for the first 20 years of my working adult life. I just worked. I worked. I started businesses. I focused on that, and other parts of my life suffered because of it. And health and fitness being one of them, for sure. And it's only been the last, last year or so, that year and a half, that I've really taken that serious. And I wish I'd done this 20 years ago, literally. And I didn't. So now you keep working through it. But I can tell the guys younger than me, it's like, take a few minutes, But on the same token, when, like for you as a small business owner, when the business is there and there's a problem or there's something to get on track,
you just get laser focused.
Yep.
That needs to get solved.
Yep, you solve that, and I hear a lot of the younger generation. They'll talk about balance, and all of a sudden it's like, well, I have to have time for all three facets. So if one starts to lay down, then we just give up on one of them until we get this caught up. And it's like, you can postpone balance. I mean, you can, like you said, if you've got something major going on that's got to get handled, well, then handle it.
Yep.
The other 2/3 of what you're trying to balance are going to suffer for a short time.
Absolutely.
But your mortgage is going to get paid. I mean, right? You're going to go through this. I mean, I have a good friend of mine that just went through about 4 months of treatment, and he had some demons he had to deal with. Has an incredible business, had a wife and kids, and he had to deal with these things. And it's like, okay, well, 2/3 of his three things, 2 out of the 3 just literally got ignored.
Yeah.
But if he didn't go to treatment, nothing would,
The whole system would have collapsed.
yeah, it truly would have.
Mhm.
So, we'll see now if the family comes back together. I don't know if it will or not, but there was some damage done to that prior to treatment. Obviously, that's what led, somewhat led to that.
Mhm.
But there again, now you're back to that health and fitness. Like, it is an important piece of it. He had neglected it for a long time, and then because of that, it hurt the other sides too.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I'm not a counselor. I don't know the right answer, but
One phrase that I heard was it's not like a work-life balance, it's a work-life harmony. And I think that speaks a lot to your point about
yeah,
sometimes it's okay. Work the weekends. Put
right,
in an 80, 90-hour week. Like, it's fine.
yep,
You said work when there's cut the hay when there's hay to be cut.
right, yeah, make hay when the sun shines.
Exactly. And it's like, yeah, the sun's shining. Like,
Yep.
let's get it while the getting's good.
Now, if the sun never sets,
Yeah.
and that and 6 months from now you're still in those 80-hour weeks and you're working the weekends, it's like, okay, now we need to step back and refocus.
What was it, 2 years ago that we didn't really have much of a winter?
Yeah.
That was a little rough on my psyche because I was just like, there was no end. It was just keep going.
Yeah.
And then summer to summer, and it was, okay, I was kind of expecting 2-3 months to be able to check out, what happened to the finances, what about the business operations, and it was like, nope, everything that was broken in the summer stayed broken until the next summer, and now you're going to try and fit it in where?
Right.
Never really had a problem with that concept. Like, it sucks, but whatever.
Right.
Because you have a way out.
Yep.
Put in more time, put in more work. And the faster and the sooner you put it in, the bigger the reward is on the other side.
Right.
If you make an investment today, it's going to be worth 10 times in a few years.
Yep.
If you make it tomorrow or the year after, it's worth a whole lot less.
Right.
Come that next day.
And also, when you put off till tomorrow, does tomorrow ever come? I mean, there's times where if you can push it,
kicking that can.
Right. That's exactly right. It's like, it's just one more day, one more month, one more quarter. We'll do this next year. And
dangerous game to play.
It is. It is. And sometimes you kid yourself because you don't have the money to invest. Mm-hmm. So now you just say, well, this wasn't the right year. Well, no shit, it wasn't the right year. You didn't have any money. It's like, work the weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, right? Just like you said, it's like, put in that 90-hour week, get caught up, get your bills paid, get some money ahead. And I'm sorry, one of your bills should be retirement. Mm-hmm. That should be a bill.
Yep.
Pay yourself.
You have to.
You have to. Because I'll tell you what, the last thing you want to do is be my age and go, I don't have any money. What's your plan for next year? Well, I got to work.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're waiting for that second paycheck of the month to make sure you can make rent at the end. It's like, dude, you're too old for that. I mean, that's a young person's game.
I enjoy the times where there's something like I tweak my back, and I'm like, oh, there goes 60% of my power, and you're down and out for 2 days. You're like, oh, like how fragile the whole system really is. And so if it's all relying on you, it can end really quick.
You and I've had this conversation before. Do you own a business?
Or do you own a job?
You own a job, right? And because okay, right. The as far as legal entity goes, sure. You have an LLC, it's a business. You have an S corp, it's a business, right? Good for you.
Yeah.
But like you said, you tweak your back, and I can't go to work today.
It stops.
Right? Does it stop, or does the machine just keep rolling along? If it doesn't keep rolling along, you own a job, my friend, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't say that. I don't say that in a negative context, but know what you have. Understand what you have, because if you're in that fragile ecosystem of I own a job, you are the most important part of that job, of that business. You are, and without you, where does it go? Again, there's nothing wrong with that, but is that what do you want to own a job for the rest of your adulthood until you retire? Or can you retire doing that? Or do you want to grow this into a machine that chugs along whether you can get out of bed in the morning or not? That's the difference. Can you go on vacation without planning, that, well, we're not going to make any money for this 2 weeks, or I've got to make sure we don't have any jobs coming through these 2 weeks or this week, or what, or maybe you don't take vacations. You take Friday afternoons off and you do a little 3-day weekend getaway kind of thing, and you do that a few times a year, But it's like, so you want to go to Spain for a week and a half? Well, jet lag, all that. That's a 2.5 week, 3 week trip.
Mm-hmm.
Can you do that? Or
That cuts into, if you're in your good season, no way, because that cuts into your profit heavy.
Mm-hmm. Huge, and the bills still keep coming.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
I think that goes back to your concept of figuring out why you're doing what you're doing. Ty Lopez, I don't know if he was referencing someone else, but he quoted, he's like, a rich man or a smart man gives himself time to think. And it bothers me, and so I like it, because sometimes I'll get into autopilot and be working hard and working 60, 70 hours a week, and I'm like, awesome, I'm doing it. But I have to face the reality that working hard is a lot different than working smart.
Right.
And it's sometimes like, you're working dumb
don't
now.
Don't confuse effort for progress.
Yeah.
Right. We talked about that too. It's like,
absolutely.
I told this guy, we met at the gym.
Okay.
And you and I mean.
Yeah.
And
okay.
And so we were on the treadmill one day chatting. I had to slow down so I could talk.
Am I that guy, or are we talking about?
No, I'm talking about you.
Okay.
When I had to, I don't like lower the incline on the treadmill so I could have a conversation, because I'm that guy. But I remember we talked about this, and it's like, just because I can go put a window in, that doesn't mean I should.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, it's like, if you need help this Friday and I'm available, it's like, but I can't demand the pay that I'm used to, because what I do, I'm good at.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to come put in a window for you. Well, I can hand you tools. I can put in a window, but it's going to take me 3 times longer than it will you. And there's no way to justify what I'm used to making. So now I got to look at it and go, okay, if you bring in an unseasoned rookie to put in windows, what are you going to pay him? Mm-hmm. You're not giving that guy 6 figures a year. Mm-hmm. He's not making $40, $50, $60 an hour. No, not even close. So now if I'm going to come put windows in for you, I've got to take what that job pays at my skill level.
Yeah.
That's not very impressive wage, because I know my skill level, and I know how, now
that your ambition go right out the window.
Right. But that doesn't mean that I can't come in there and work twice as hard as you all day long. Mm-hmm. But if I'm still getting half as much done, do I deserve to get paid more because I've worked hard? At the end of the day, business is about results. Yeah, absolutely. And so no, it doesn't matter if I come in there and I'm breaking a sweat 6 minutes in, and I outwork you all day long, but then we look at the results. You accomplished more than I did, but I worked harder all day. Mm-hmm. And what's that worth, right? There's no value in that unless you're going to train me, and I can keep up that pace once I'm good at what I'm doing. But until then, you can't pay me based on my effort. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I told my kids that so many times. I mentioned on this podcast many times, like, do not confuse effort for progress. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to tell you that you're not a hard worker. I'm just going to have to tell you you're not very good at this. Mm-hmm. You're not accomplishing a lot, but do I see you working harder than most of my guys? Okay, that's commendable. It's not payable, right? But I'll respect you, because I see you just busting your ass all day long. But when I go back, and it's like, yeah, but this guy over here that took a couple of smoke breaks, or sipping on coffee, talking on his cell phone 3 or 4 times, you just frustrated the heck out of me all day, because every time I turn around, he's screwing off.
But he got more done.
But he got more done than you did, and his stuff looks good. So it's like, so now in that situation, as the boss, the foreman, the owner, who do I yell at? Right?
That's a good situation, because one, there's a lot to be learned from lazy people. Because if you watch them, they get a lot done. If they're getting a lot done, and they're not just lazy, it's like, holy buckets, your efficiency is pretty darn high. Yeah. But also, there's a bad image that gives too.
Right.
I don't think that it's worthwhile to look busy, but sometimes it'll train or teach your people to, like, hey, do something. Right. Always be doing something. If you're walking back and forth, at least you're moving, you're keeping it going. You're not just sitting there stagnated, and everybody sees that, and they're like, you kind of feel the responsibility to yell at certain people, because you're like, hey, everybody else is busting their butt, and you're not. Yep. You're setting a bad image for the whole company, customer optics. Like, if the customer sees you twiddling on your phone, they're not going to want to pay for that.
No, I mean, if they see you over there, sitting on with your knee up, and your boot on a tree, and you're playing on your phone, and it's like, and then they get handed that $17,000 bill for their deck.
Yep.
I mean, that's not what you want to show them. Now, it doesn't matter how sturdy the deck is and how great a work you did. what they're not going to remember all that. They're going to tell us every time I turn around, this guy's playing on his phone. He's whatever, it just was. It's like,
That's one thing that I really monitor on our hourly jobs. When somebody hires us for stuff and it's like half of it's gonna be contract, half of it's gonna be hourly, I pay really close attention to how the employees and myself are working. And if the phone's going off all day, I'm like I'm taking time off,
right,
and I'll
right, be
reflect
fair.
that
Yep.
on the invoice so that way they can look at it and be like, yeah, I saw you were talking on the phone for an hour and a half too, and you took an hour and a half off. Okay, he was actually tracking his time. He wasn't just,
Right.
hey, we were there on the job site for 8 hours. We're getting paid for 8 hours.
Right. Right.
Yeah, but common
Right.
sense.
But
We
again,
weren't.
yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And like, when you look at, of course, you'll deal with this on, I would assume, most all of your jobs. But like
Okay.
for me, I got a job that maybe it pays 6 hours, which
Mm-hmm.
on fixing a car,
Mm-hmm.
and say it's a 6 hour job. Well, you get, your first guy gets 2 hours into it, and you're looking at the clock going, boy, we close in 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then one of my other guys, he finishes a job. We have to order parts for something. Someone didn't show up. It's like, great, go over and give him a hand.
Yep.
Well, now I can get that job done in the next hour and a half, 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm still going to charge 6 hours for that
Mm-hmm.
because I had two guys on it for half the time, or
Absolutely.
so because now I got to bill two guys' time.
It all adds up.
Right. So but there again, you get in that situation where you've got to be real careful that when you tell a customer that, yeah, this job's expensive because it's a 6 hour job.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get 3.5 hours into it, and you're calling them back. Oh, you're calling them back, going, yeah, I got we're all set. Yeah. And then they come in, and so you always have to make sure that you're just like, hey, this one was kind of a bugger, but I had it worked out fortunately. We were able to get through a little quicker. I had two guys on it for a portion of the time.
Just explain it.
Yep, just explain it and let them know. That's because typically it's a 6 hour job. I mean, in reality, I have 6 hours in it, but it's two guys for 3 hours each. So at the end of the day, instead of you waiting till the end of the day or tomorrow morning to pick up your car, we get it done by 2. So the stars aligned, everything worked out good today. We got it back to you, ahead of time, and people appreciate that. Where if you don't explain that, they'll walk in going, "You billed me for 6 hours. You called me at 11 o'clock, and it was done at 2, and you billed me for 6 hours. Are you kidding?" And it's and it's a real easy way to take a very innocent situation and turn into just a horrible story that's going to get spread around by good people, And so you've got the guy up front has got to explain that. And same thing for you. You've got your guys, and your guys up front, your guys out back, the same guys, gals, guys, right?
Yep.
Yep. So, and it's hard to be good. In my opinion, I think it's a skill set to be good at the trades and talking to a customer and trying, because where I think, and I'd like your opinion on this. You're in the trades. You appreciate the hard work that goes into building a deck, right? Absolutely. Putting in a window and not making it look like it was an add-on, right? I mean, we've all seen those jobs, right?
Yeah.
Where you look at it going, that's new.
Yeah.
I mean, that the rest of this house, but that's new. That does not fit. It's like, what here doesn't belong, and to not make it look like that. So you understand the craftsmanship, the quality, the training, the effort that goes into it.
We're gonna have to put the crappy siding back up so that way it looks good the rest of your house.
Right. I mean but that's part of it. To understand, to understand what do I have to do to make this not stand out? Because that's not a place you don't want people to look at the house and go, wow, that one window's awesome. The rest is kind of a trashy dump, but a little bit of a dumpster fire here. But that one window looks fantastic. It's like you don't really want it to stand out like that. But when you're talking to people about the jobs and how things work, you understand the work that goes into it. And when you're talking to a customer that does not understand that, it's very hard to be objective, and it's hard to be that whole, I don't necessarily agree with this wholeheartedly, but the customer's always right. Okay. You do have to, when you're talking to clients, when you're selling jobs, when you're billing customers, collecting money, you do have to dance around that ideology of the customer's always right.
At least play with it.
You do.
Those cliche sayings, I think that they have some face value to them.
Absolutely.
Dig a little deeper, and you can kind of get the meaning.
Right. When a customer comes in, they're just belligerent with you. I do not have to tell you I'm wrong and you're right. I don't. Yeah. But as a general rule of thumb, if you approach the situation as the customer is always right, you will win more than you'll lose.
Yeah.
I do believe that. Right.
Taking responsibility, like everything is your responsibility.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
Okay, so what can I do about it?
Well, at the end of the day, you're the expert.
Mhm.
If I hire you to come put in windows and doors, I think it's a pretty safe bet to say you're going to be better at it than I am.
Hopefully.
Right, right. I mean,
99% of the time.
right. I mean, at least, yeah, and there's other situations, retired guy that can't do it
Yep.
anymore,
Yep.
or whatever, or you're just too busy.
Usually those have been my best because they'll have some advice to share because they're old enough that they're like, hey, this was my craft. I
Yep.
need you to do it. But then they're usually super sweet and nice about it.
Yeah, yeah, I bet. Well, and two, if you were a hack, you wouldn't say that
Mm-hmm.
because they'd have a different opinion of you.
Correct.
But when you're coming in and giving them good quality work and you're personable, you're a likable guy,
Mm-hmm.
and then your work, is great. So there's nowhere to fall down there. And you as a human being, if I just know you haven't screwed anything up for me. Everything
Yes.
but I'm confident if the human being part shows up one day, right,
Exactly.
and a mistake is made,
Yep.
you're not going to leave me holding the boat. I mean, you are gonna get in there and you're gonna fix it
Mm-hmm.
and you're gonna make it right, And that there again, the guys that were in the trade, they've made plenty of mistakes in their day. If you do make a mistake, and they can look at it and they'll know
Mm-hmm.
you're not very good at this, are you? Right? Or they're
quick.
Right, or they're going to go, been there, done that. Yep,
Yep.
that's easy. That's an easy one to. But what are we going to do about it now? And then you stand behind it. Then they're like, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. So the question is, right? Because we're building up for a question. Well, my opinion on it.
The question was, how much more difficult it is to talk to customers when you're actually in the trades. Because again, the amount of effort and work and expertise that goes into what you do. Customers don't. Mm-hmm. So when you tell them and they why is the bill this? Why would you go with Anderson versus Pella, or why would you why would you go with Pella versus this no name house brand from Menards or whatever, and they don't have the confidence in but these things. That's why I say having my opinion, and this is where I wanted you to validate or debate this.
All right.
Is that like for Darwin's the mechanic, right? Mm-hmm. I work up front. I'm the accountant. That's my degree is in accounting. So I do the billing. I do the customer service side. We always left. I talk to the customers. Darwin talks to the cars, and it just works. Yeah. The hard part when you put Darwin up front, and I'm not picking on right. I mean, I wouldn't go in the back because I'm not. You don't want me working on your car. Okay. I haven't turned wrenches since college, and I wasn't good at it then. Honestly, I've never been fast. Yeah. I'm too meticulous. Okay. That's part of it, and that doesn't mean I'm good. That just means I'm slow, right? Okay. So, but you bring Darwin up, and and the guy's like, well, so you sure it's an alternator? Mm-hmm. Well, you towed it into me, and we tested it, and I called you. You asked me to tell you what's wrong with it. I'm telling you it's alternator. Well, did you look at this? Mm-hmm. And of course, for me, I'm just like, here's what we do, and I just lay it out what we did. How we get to our answer, and usually that diffuses it. Where like a mechanic will look at him and going, why didn't you fix it? Yeah. Right? Yeah. If you're so effing smart, did you check it? You're right. It's like, no, I didn't check that. I didn't have to. But people will come in and they'll be like, well, I think it's a bad battery. Mm-hmm. Why do you think it's a bad battery? Well, it didn't start. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, what I can tell you, when you hit the key and it didn't turn over, what I can tell you is the starter is drawing more power than the battery has. Now, does that mean the starter's bad? Could be. If the battery has 800 cranking amps in it and it won't turn the starter over, that means the starter's trying to draw 6,000 amps, or it's a dead short. It's just like an infinite number of amps it's trying to draw. It's not going to turn it over. Again, the starter's wanting more than the battery has. If the starter's drawing 100 amps like it should, and the battery has no amps available to it, or 50, right? Well, now do we have a bad battery? I still don't know. Yeah. Because why does the battery only have 50 amps in it? Did the alternator charge it? So now it's like, oh, well, we should check the alternator. Mm-hmm. Check the alternator. Alternator's putting out, 6 volts. It's a 12-volt system. It needs to put out 13.5, 14.5 to work. So, it's putting out 6. Well, that's not enough. Okay. Mm-hmm. So now, do I know the battery's good? No. I know the battery's bad, or I know the alternator's bad. Mm-hmm. Is the battery any good? Probably. It needs to be charged, right? But at this point, did you check it? I haven't. And at that point, it's like I can't test a dead battery. Mm-hmm. So you have to charge it. So it's like, that's on the charger. I know we need an alternator. It's not charging. Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, see, so the starter's fine? Maybe. I assume so.
At this point.
Right. Yep. So there's a lot of, now lion's share of the time, it's going to need an alternator. Battery's fine. We'll charge it. It'll be fine. The starter's fine. They were fine. Everything was fine yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Now today it doesn't start. The alternator's not charging. The fact that the now, can an alternator ruin a battery? It can. Can a battery and alternator go bad at the same time? It can. Can a starter and alternator? It can. Is it likely? No. It's possible. It's not probable. But you can't just go in and say, oh, it just needs an alternator and everything else will be fine.
Yeah, the customer's asking you for something else that they're not saying.
Right.
They're asking you for, hey, give me some confidence. Walk me through at least enough that I get.
Right.
Because you and I talked about that last time, where some customers are, I want details.
Right.
I want the whole schematic layout of the vehicle.
I'm an engineer, and I want to understand this from beginning to end.
Other ones, it's like, just tell me the nitty gritty.
Yeah, it's like, I towed it in. Can I drive it home?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. How much will it cost me? $300. When will it be done? Mm-hmm. Tomorrow morning. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day. And they just want to know, I towed it in. I don't enjoy towing my car. Can I drive it home? Yes, sir. When we're done, they don't care what's wrong. They just want to know what's it going to cost so I can drive it home. Okay.
Yeah.
And but then like I say, then you have the engineer mentality where it's like, well, why do you think that outlet went bad?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a mechanical piece, sir, and it's got 100,000 miles on it. So my opinion, alternators typically last years, but when you look at all the moving parts of a car, it's amazing it made it this far. And they're just like, whoa, that's not very confidence inspiring. I'm like, well, it's not, but look at human beings. Look how fragile we are.
Yeah, we wear out.
Yeah, we wear out. We keel over one day eating breakfast and you fall off the chair. It's like what a horrible way to go for your family. But it's like, and was it avoidable? Right. Was it avoidable? Maybe. I don't know. We've got pretty good health care, and if nobody saw it coming, so it's like, so I don't. And then and then you got to be honest when they ask you. It's like, here's what I think happened from experience. But unless you want to pay me over $100 an hour to tear that thing apart and give you at the end of the day, no matter why it went bad, it's bad.
Yeah.
Putting a new one in will fix it. That's going to cost this much. Do you want to know why it went bad? I can offer that answer, but not for free. And I wouldn't want to pay me to do that.
Yeah.
If you want me to, like, no, but just, what are you thinking? It's like, okay, well, this is what I think happened. But it's speculation. It's, granted, it's speculation based on over 35 years of experience.
Oh.
So, right. And that's where we're like, the mechanic response is going to be, it doesn't charge. Of course it's bad. That's going to be, there's going to be like in your face, like, yes, I checked it. That's what we do here. You towed it to me. Yes. And they're just like, it's like, whoa, stop. You can't talk to people like that.
Exactly. No, I love that when you round the corner and you're like, anyways, let me take over. Let me chit chat for a while.
Yep. That's exactly it.
It's totally a skill set being able to talk to customers. And it helped out a lot when I went and had to have some stuff done on my place. And you go out and you get a couple of bids and you can kind of vet, hey, how long did they take to send me a bid? What did they include in the proposal? Yep. And some of them are very generic, or hey, somebody just punched this into a system and boom, all the numbers populated and sent it back. Yep. Okay, so they have a system. You can tell that there's professionalism there, but there's not a lot of time that was put in.
Yeah.
Other ones, just a number.
Yep.
Like, what does this number include?
Right.
Like with our proposals, we like to have a very detailed, hey, this is going to happen. If it's, let's say, a siding job, siding windows, you're going to have a price for the siding. Soffit and fascia I usually break out because that's usually included.
Sure.
But it's like, I don't need to tell you how much the J channel is going to be. I don't need to tell you how much the corner posts are going to be. You need to know, if I took out siding and I just wanted to do the windows, how much is the price difference there? And I think, okay, sweet. Yeah. So I kind of break it down into common sense totals and send it back. Detailed, though. You're going to know what brand of siding you have, what size it is. You could go and, order the siding after I give you the proposal on your own if you wanted. But lost my train of thought with that.
But how detailed your estimates are.
Yeah. With talking to the customers, the first few years not the first few years, probably like the first 2 years of like really, working out the kinks, you had to just try.
Yeah.
Talk to them, see what goes wrong, see what goes good. And my business partner was like, just don't say I don't know. I'm 80-20 on the acceptance of that. Yeah. I don't like it. I think it's something to stay away from, but I also think it's an okay thing to say in a certain way.
Right.
And it's like, if you say, I don't know, boom, confidence gone. It's like, well, this guy's not the expert if he doesn't know.
Right.
But you can be like, well, here's what I do know. Here's the unknowns. Here's the stuff that I have to get, do a little research on because I'm not 100% positive, and I want to make sure before we move forward we get that cleared up.
Right.
You're saying the exact same thing.
Yep.
But that took a little while to train up, and so then when you try and pawn that off to someone else to handle that responsibility, they're starting from your square one, and they're not going to know, hey, I have to watch out for these little nuances to make sure that it's like you're representing the customer well. Feels like HR or public relations all over again. In the military, there was big PR. And it's like, don't say anything. You let them handle it. They know how to talk to the media. They know how to talk to everybody out in the outside world. But you have this short, brief sentence that you're going to say, and then you're done. And it's like, yeah, that actually makes sense.
Sure.
It keeps you in your field. Stay in your lane.
Yep.
Let Jerry do the talking up front. And you keep working on the cars.
Yep. And that's why I think and in the trades, it's so common for the guy doing the work to talk to the customer. Mm-hmm. And again, he knows how much effort goes into it. The customer doesn't. And sometimes I feel like you can get a chip on your shoulder, because you know how much work this takes. You know the skill it takes. Mm-hmm. And you also know when this guy's like, what's keep me from doing it myself? Well, the fact that you're probably terrible at it. I mean, but again, you can't say that. You can't say that to go, but you want to. You're like, I hear that all the time at the shop. These guys will call me on, getting this on a wheel bearing or whatever, a water pump. And I'm thinking, okay, my guys who have, years of experience, they've had, hundreds of cars apart. Maybe Denverman's thousands. He's been doing it for almost 40 years or over 40 years. So, and it's like, and when I give him this job, he's going to roll his eyes at me going, I hate these. These are awful. Mm-hmm. And I got this guy threatening to do it in his driveway. It's like, all right, have at it. I don't ever try to discourage people. I tell them, I said, this is not a driveway job. Yeah. This is a job that my seasoned ASE certified master technicians look at and go, ugh. Yep. And we have all the tools. We have the facility, the hoist. We have everything you need to make that job as easy as possible. And it's just not easy. Yeah. It's like, and you want to do this in December in Minnesota in your driveway. All right. You don't. All right. Yep. But I will warn people. It's like, I'm not trying to be rude, but just know that if you tow this, if I come in here Monday morning and that car is towed into my back lot and there's 3 milk crates of parts in the front seat, I'm just going to call the tow company and tell them they can take it back to where they brought it from. Because I'm not finishing the job that you've got started and then figured out it was too much for you. Mm-hmm. So watch some YouTube videos, right? Yeah, open the hood and look at what you've got and watch some YouTube videos and listen to these guys and see what it entails. Make your decision based on that, and whatever you do, commit to it. Absolutely. Because if you commit to me because it's going to cost you money. Mm-hmm. If you're going to fix it, then commit to it and get it fixed. Finish it. It's like, don't think you're going to bring it to me in cardboard boxes, milk crates of parts, and we're just going to slap it back together. No harm, no foul. Yeah. It's like, my guy is going to throttle me when I hand him that ticket, and he goes, "Are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. I have better things to do than deal with that." Yeah. And that's just cleaning house at my place. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And besides, because I know I wouldn't want to be in that situation of my guys going, "Yeah, Jerry just brought me back this car that's, we're going to have to push it in because it's in pieces, and you don't know where the bolts went, where they came from." No thanks. Yeah. It's like,
a lot of the times when I ran into those situations where a customer, I wouldn't say is confrontational, but they just need some clarification on stuff. The compliments go a long way. Understanding where they're coming from is like, oh yeah, no, thinking about price is a very valid option.
Oh yeah.
Since you're concerned about that, we would stay in this area or this lane. That's probably the brand I'm going to recommend since price is what we're concerned with. That's the most important. Yeah. And you can just, if you diffuse it and you're like, that's not a stab at me. It's just them wrestling with the stress of the decision itself. Right. It's like, yeah, totally. There's options. Here's how much it's going to, you can make this transaction happen or this project happen by inputting cash, or you can make it happen by inputting time. Yep. If you want to input your time and purchase the saws and purchase the drills and educate yourself on it to be able to do this one job, you'll be putting in more value into figuring out. If you're having fun with it, go have at.
Yeah, right.
But I think why you came to me was because you didn't. want to put in all that time and effort. You wanted to keep on working your job that's making more money per hour than you would doing this project.
Right.
Okay, you're going to pay us. It's going to hurt because it just hurts having money come out.
Yeah.
But you're going to be making more by doing that.
Right.
And then
right.
usually
Stay efficient.
Yeah, it's usually bubbles down pretty quickly
Yeah.
whenever I've had that handle because it's just like they're just trying to work out the stress or work out the emotions, and you just walk hand in hand with them the whole way through.
Yep. Well, and you help your customers make good decisions. That's and that's what they're counting on you for. Right? You're the expert. That's the whole reason they called you. You're the expert.
Yeah. An informed client is a good client.
It is.
You know,
it is.
I want them to know why they're making the decisions that they're making, because the beginner grade siding or the middle grade or the siding that costs thousands and thousands of dollars more and it cures cancer.
Yep.
It could be the siding that you want.
Yeah.
You tell me. Let me guide you to that answer.
Yeah.
It's one of my biggest worries when I was getting into business was, how am I going to be a salesman? Like my whole impression or idea of a salesman is crummy, trying to manipulate, trying to get people to do stuff. And I'm like,
the plaid shirt or the plaid jacket and the bow tie, right?
The chain jingling in the pocket.
Right. Yeah.
But then I was like, that's totally not it. You're literally just a installation and technical information specialist that's here to guide them.
Well, you're a tool. You're a tool of the business. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And and I mean, in your business, in my business, a bad tool, it costs you money.
Absolutely.
Period. It costs you money, and and that's pretty cold talking about your employees and saying they're tools. Yeah. But I'm an employee of my own company. Mm-hmm. I'm a tool. I mean, that's how it works. And if you don't stay up to date on your knowledge when you're up front and even when you're in back, I mean, for you, you need to know. I mean, so how long have you been doing windows and doors?
About 5.5 years now.
Okay. Has there been much in mechanical, like technology changes on windows or doors in that 5.5 years?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
No, but there was definitely always a learning curve to get ramped up and know what's coming out. But then once you know the basics, it's like a wheel's a wheel.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes it's faster, sometimes it's more efficient, but you understand the concept.
Right.
You're fine. You can go from there.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that's part of it for me too, is knowing that one, you know how to put it in, obviously. Mm-hmm. That's an important piece of the installation, but also to help guide me into buying those. I don't know windows. Mm-hmm. I've heard of Anderson. I've heard of Pella. I've heard of Marvin. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I've heard of any. I don't know if nothing comes to mind.
Yeah, those are all the big name brands around here.
Yeah. Now, is one better than another? I'm sure they have their specialties. They have their places where one, you might, I'm assuming, depending on the situation, you might recommend Anderson window or Marvin or Pella based on this, or are you a guy that's going to always recommend one window brand?
Definitely always a guy that's going to recommend one because of the vetting that I've done. Pella is the one that I always go with.
Okay.
I understand them the most, so there's a little bias there because are they the best? Maybe, maybe not.
Right.
From the vetting I've done, yes. Okay. I enjoy them. I can.
So I couldn't give you a situation where you would try to talk me into a Marvin or an Anderson.
Correct. If you came to me and you're love Andersons, I can't stand them. I'm gonna sell you Andersons.
Sure.
I'm gonna be like, hey, I would recommend Pella, but I'm not gonna, all the rest of the windows in your house are Anderson. It's gonna fit the same vibe. If we're just replacing this one, let's just go with Anderson.
Sure.
I don't try and fight clients on what their personal preference is.
Well, I may have a bad experience with a Pella in the past or something, some one-off situation, which very well could have been the installer too. But
100%.
But once it leaves a bad taste in their mouth, then do you really want to argue about it? I mean,
it's not worth it.
Well, and that there again, you like Pella, and I'm not trying. I'm playing devil's advocate, but I don't know what I'm talking about, right? Because I'm not a window guy at all.
Yeah.
But I mean, could you say that you wouldn't put in an Anderson or a Marvin because they're just so terrible?
No.
Yeah, it's not like that, right?
So once you get up into Marvin, Pella, and Anderson, it's very much so. Hey, you're in the big leagues. If they still have their more entry level lines, if you're dealing with vinyl windows, you're dealing with vinyl windows. If you're dealing with fiberglass, okay, you've moved up an echelon. If you're dealing with wood interior, aluminum clad exterior, or wood exterior, now you're in the premium line. It's going to cost you. It's going to be a good quality window. you've gotten to that point.
Sure.
Like even Gel Limit, I had an issue with them for the longest time, but I was installing the bottom of the barrel windows. They wanted the least price, the cheapest window, just barely met standards.
Yep.
I'm like, you. But we were doing it for a little bit, and I was just like, wait a second. Went around and I played around with some of their higher end windows. And I was like, okay, this isn't bad. It's a lot better. Price is considerably different. You're not paying $250 for what you're paying $1,500.
Sure.
And it's like, well, yeah, you're getting what you're paying for.
Yeah.
So, in way of the big three, I always recommend Pella because of the price / quality X factor.
Value.
Yeah, where that lines up is the best for the customer. So I'll provide that first because I think that's what's best for you.
Sure.
If you're like, man, I want Marvin for the brand, or I want Anderson because I have Andersons, like you're still getting a good window.
Still got a good window.
Yeah, right. I'm going to sleep well at night because I'm like, the window's going to hold up. It's going to be good. I can trust that.
Sure.
Good customer support, warranty information, all that is solid.
Good.
Yeah. One of the things that I struggle with certain providers of windows is the windows will show up and they'll be missing a piece, or they'll be caulking all over the glass, or something's just, even if their warranty information is good and they're like, hey, we'll send you a new one right away. I'm like, the reputation damage is already done.
Right.
It's like we showed up and yeah, I could rip apart every single window and test operate it in my garage, but that's time wasted.
Right. Nobody's going to pay you for that.
Correct. It's coming straight out of my pocket. So like, I like to get there, put it in, and then it's like, oh, okay. After I opened it up, I realized that the bottom sash was all scuffed up. I'm like, well, I'm not going to leave my customer with this.
Right.
But now I have to order a new one, put in that time, and come back and put it in.
Right.
So some brands I deter because of that, because I want the whole customer experience to be seamless.
Right.
I'll take on and put as much behind the scenes as possible, so that way the interaction that I have with you is, we show up, you select the windows that you want, the work gets done, and boom, nice, beautiful new windows. What you didn't see was, that one has to get, wood filled here, and, a little bit of stain touched up there, and, poly put on because they forgot to do this and that. And it's like, that's okay. You don't need to know about that.
Right.
The product that you're getting is the product that I promised.
Yep.
The rest of it's mine to deal with.
Right. And you took care of it.
Mm-hmm.
And you took care of it. Yep. So again, you want to take care of customers. You want them to tell their friends that you took care of them.
Absolutely.
Those referrals are so important.
Huge.
Especially in the trades. In anything. You want people speaking well of you, for sure. Mm-hmm. And that's where like Google reviews, Facebook reviews, that huge in today's business. I get that. I mean, we don't advertise anymore. Mm-hmm. We haven't for years.
Yeah.
But when I do get a new customer, it's almost always because you have some really good reviews. Mm-hmm. And and then you look. I mean, like I said, I talk about the podcast more than once. It's like we have a 4.9 rating with and we've been doing this for 23 years in our location. We started that business from the ground up, and I don't know if there's another auto shop in Rochester that has a 4.9 rating. I'd have to look again, but there wasn't 6 months ago. We'd looked at it, but a customer tell me that, so I was like, really? So I had to go look, and it's like, that's pretty cool. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Means you're doing something right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm proud of my guys. They do a good job. But yeah, it's been good. So, but you try to surround yourself with good people. Right? Mm-hmm. That makes a big, like you said earlier, with your employees, makes a big difference. Huge difference. So, well, is there anything else you'd like to touch on about Bergan Windows and Doors?
Bergan Windows and Doors. If people are listening for the way of business knowledge, I think that it's a beautiful thing because every year comes up with new challenges, and to treat your contractors with a grain of salt. Like you obviously know what you're getting when you get into it, but having the understanding that's like, well, if your schedule is busy trying to figure out, how am I going to handle this project? It's safe to assume that they're, 10 hours deep on a work day and then showing up to do the sales call. So it's like, okay, be transparent with your expectations and the questions that you have, asked them.
Yeah.
Because it's real easy to forget about stuff when you're just like, hey, I know what's going on in my head. But don't be afraid to try and dig in and pull out that information, because it's like most of the times I'm happy to answer any
Right.
questions that you have. I'll go through
Right.
and I'll explain stuff in way more detail than you probably want.
Yeah.
So if you need me
That's
to
my thing
stop,
too. Yep.
yep, just tell me, whoa. I'm here. Just, can I tow the car home? Or can I drive it
Yep.
home?
Yep.
Yep.
Right.
If that's what you want, that's what I'll give you.
Yep.
But I'm totally happy to give you above and beyond for the
Yep.
information about what's going to go into the project.
Yep.
You just need to tease that out of it.
But you're back to that same thing you said earlier. An informed customer is a good customer.
Absolutely.
I don't,
Absolutely.
and if you haven't embraced that yet, it's gonna be painful as a business owner, because I mean, the internet has changed so much. I mean, it's hard to say that someone your age, you've never really known the world without the internet.
I barely can remember.
Right. And see, I didn't get that till I was about 20.
Okay.
So I mean,
yeah,
we had internet, but we had Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
I mean, right?
Yeah,
we didn't
OG.
have, oh yeah. I mean, we didn't have anything. That was awesome. That was cool back then. But if you want to play a video, amazing. When I was a kid, if you wanted to play a video game, you went to the grocery store and found Pac-Man in the corner, and it wasn't, and it was Pac-Man. There wasn't much else out there. There was not a ton of choices. You had Asteroids. If anyone remembers that, it was very basic.
It's good quality games though.
But you had to go to the store and spend a quarter to play something. So it's a big difference now when you look at the technology we have. Now, I have a good friend you mentioned him earlier, Todd. He's building a platform. Now, I can't even say a website, but it is a website, but it's a platform.
Okay.
And he sent me, he's been using Claude, which is what Denise uses also for youth. And it's been writing code. Now, he took a class. His daughter works at a university in Illinois or Indiana. I don't remember now. He's going to shoot me when he sees this. But
you don't even care, Jerry.
Yeah, right. But he went to this AI class that they put on at the college, and it was like a $3,000 class, give or take, $2,700, $3,700, something like that. But he got in with his daughter putting it on. He comes back, he has Claude coding this setup. He sent me a text last night, and it shows a screenshot of the breakdown of the amount of hours this would have taken if he had done that same site in 2019.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
7 years ago. It shows all the coding hours, and it gives the average cost for coding per hour versus like a premium job or premium company, a big company that would charge. And it said the range of cost to do what he did in a matter of less than a week would have been just between, I think it was $180,000 and $240,000 is what that would have cost to build that system in 2019. And now he bought Claude for whatever it is, $100 and some bucks a year total, and he did it in a week.
Yeah. That's something that as a business owner you have to stay on with. Otherwise, you're going to be the old man that doesn't want to learn how to use a smartphone.
Get off my lawn.
Exactly. But it's like, we have smartphones, but do we even know how to use them to their full potential? And now this technology is hitting us, and it's like you can be your own accountant. Do you know the right questions to ask? Do you know how to use the tool? So you better start playing with it, treating it like it's second nature.
Yeah.
Kids can do it.
That was part of our conversation. I talked with Todd yesterday, coming home from the cities, and and that was one of the things I told him. I said, I can relate that to, I'm sitting there in my truck talking on my iPhone, hands free, and I said I can relate that to my iPhone. I said, I know how to call people. I'll text all day. I can send you a picture. I can use a Google Maps. But what does this phone do that I don't utilize?
Yeah.
I mean, that list is massive.
Yeah.
Just massive. And it's like, but the technology's here. I just don't care. And that not enough to learn it. Not enough to really dig in and learn it. And that's the difference. I told you yesterday I went to the Twin Cities and picked up a new 3D printer.
Yeah.
And now I still can't design my own STL files. So if you gave me something and said, hey, can you 3D print this? Get me a file.
Yeah.
I sure can. My printers will do it. But I don't know how to make the STL file. I don't know how to make that design you have and take it off the drawing board and put it into the computer. I have no idea how to do that. I know it's SolidWorks. I know Blender works for it, but I have no idea how to use them. And
Mm.
I don't know that I don't know that I will,
Yeah.
but now you have sites like Meshi AI, and
Mm-hmm.
it's an AI site to do just that I can type in what I want. I did their free 7 day, trial, and it was horrible. So it's like, well, I'll give it 6 months. We'll try it again.
Okay.
See where it's
Yep.
at, or give it a few
Yep.
months and try it again. And see, I'm sure it's going to be better in 6 months, and
Yeah.
it will be
Yeah.
easy enough for me. I don't know. I'm gonna need it pretty easy.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
isn't something I plan on putting a lot of effort into. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
but I have one of my kids. Skylar is fantastic with CAD programs.
Yeah.
Todd himself, my brother-in-law, is going to dig into SolidWorks, and they all have a need for my 3D printers.
Very
So
good.
I am very happy to trade my expertise, or I shouldn't even say expertise, my equipment, my mechanical ability, because I
Yep.
bought I have these two Bamboo Lab printers. I'm more than happy to trade my ability to create the things for their ability to design the things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'll build what you need if you'll design what I need once in a while. And all
Absolutely.
three of those guys, they're all great guys.
Yeah.
So they're all willing to, like, yeah, that sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother-in-law, he doesn't even know SolidWorks. Very smart individual, very
Mm-hmm.
intelligent guy, and he doesn't know SolidWorks. Oh, he's like, yeah, I'll figure it out. Yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
yeah. If you'll help me with this, he goes, I got this. He does bike restoration is kind of a hobby side hustle of his,
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
and yeah, he's like, yeah, he said this seal, nobody makes it. I can't
Mm-hmm.
get it. Can you
Mm-hmm.
make one of these? I'm like, you know the drill.
Yep.
And he's like,
Yep.
all right, SolidWorks, you said, right? I'm like, yep. He goes, all right, I'll figure it out this week. That was the conversation we had this morning.
That
We'll figure it out this week.
that'll be something beautiful because a lot of the window companies they age out after like 20 years. They'll be like, hey, we're not going to warranty that anymore. But how you tear out so many windows around that same era, I can take and bring you a piece of like, hey, I need something that's durable and sturdy like this operates the same.
Yep.
I don't understand what type of product you can work with, but it sounds like the range is pretty wide from plastics to
Well,
ceramics.
now with this new printer, um, there's all kinds of like ABS carbon fiber.
Okay.
There's you know there's all kinds of different materials. But the new printer I just bought, it will do engineering materials, so you can actually
Mm,
manufacture on it. Where
mm,
the first one I have, I can prototype. That's what I got it for the patents that we're looking at, was to be
mm.
able to prototype products.
Yeah.
And then you have the STL file, and from there we can send it to a machinist, and we can have it. I can 3D print it out of a filament, out of a plastic, an ABS, a PLA, a PETG, something like that,
Yeah.
um, and then see if it fits. Size it and make sure everything works. You can't use a plastic, clevis pin, for instance, but I can. I mean, I can't put any pressure on it, or the tensile strength isn't there, but I
Yeah.
can put it in place, make sure it fits. Does it clasp right? Does it hold? Is the dimensions proper? Does it
Mm-hmm.
fit?
Yep.
Will this
Yep.
work? Then it's like, okay, and if that takes 6 revisions, well, it's a little too snug. Oh, it's a little too loose, a little too short, a little too long.
Yeah.
You could use a hole in the center here. We could, whatever. Well, every time you do that and you're prototyping with someone, you're paying hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to prototype
Mm-hmm.
those pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Where here, the printer's paid for, and it takes pennies worth of filament as long as you have someone that can design the file.
Yeah.
Where that we have Todd. Well, Todd and I, we have a company together now with these little inventions, I guess, for lack of a better term, to get patents. And so he does the design work, I print them, and we can now with the new printer, some of the stuff, these carbon fiber filaments, we can manufacture on,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
small scale, of
Yep.
course. But point being, it's something we wouldn't just prototype it and then send it to a machinist after we were happy with it. We can actually print it. In a lot of cases, it's a usable product that we can test.
Mm-hmm.
I can make a dozen of them and put you on my focus group, and I'll
Yeah.
have you sign an NDA with me, and then I can send you these products, and you can try them out and tell me, ooh, yeah, I like this, but
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
or
Yep.
it was great for this, but terrible here. You need to fix this. Great, that's what we need.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I can actually produce that now rather than going to a machinist and again spending the money that it takes to actually build it,
Yeah.
then give it to you to get it torn back and get all the complaints. Then we revamp it and then we go do it all over again. And you
Cha-ching,
spend
cha-ching, cha-ching.
thousands. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now with this new printer, it was, I've been to this thing for like $3,000.
It pays
And
itself off almost immediately.
it does. I mean, literally, this first product we're done, I'll be in the black on it after the first product, and I still have the printer. I mean, it's still there for the next time around. Yeah. Yep. And I can make toothbrush holders and all kinds of cool little trinkets to clutter up my house.
Dumbbell card holders.
Yeah, dumbbell card holders.
Exactly.
Right.
I'm using that one right on the front of my thing. I'm like, oh yeah, I can see my business cards. But yeah, that's good. That's stuff that you can play around with, and then you'll find a use, or a use will just come up because you're like, wait a second, I have this skill set, or my friends have it, and we can work together to make it happen.
Right. That collaboration, and you know, when you put more minds together, even if it's not something you're an expert at, you can look at it going, why'd you do it like this? And that I can tell you why I did it that way and validate it, or I can, in the midst of telling you why I did it that way, go, you know, what if, and just like that, you don't have to be the expert to give me advice. Sometimes you just have to be the user to ask the right question.
Yeah.
And, you know, because we all get hyper focused on what we're doing in a lot of cases. I know I do. And all of a sudden you kind of miss that. Well, you miss that big black eye and going, I didn't even see that. I was so focused on this, you know, and then people ask questions like, I'll figure it out. But I need somebody to pull me back a little bit and not be staring at the wall 3 inches away from it. Back up and take a look at the whole thing. It's like, oh, get that big picture. It's like, I'm smart enough to figure it out. But, you know, am I unfocused enough to know there's more to figure out, you know?
Yeah.
And that's, you and I talked about that earlier today, you know, just having that, I don't even say devil's advocate, but just having that confidence in a friend to ask the right questions. You don't have to be the expert in the field. I'll be the expert if it's my field, you know, but yeah, you don't want to get caught in that situation where I can only talk to you about your field.
Correct.
You know?
There has to be the back and forth.
There does. There has to be that, you know, you want to broaden your horizons a bit, for sure.
In business, I'm definitely that way, where it's just like, just start doing it.
Yeah.
Just start doing it, and then you'll figure out what questions.
Run, fall, bleed, baby.
Absolutely.
Run, fall, bleed.
I wouldn't recommend it with your business scope. You know, like we mentioned and we touched on, figure out where you're going. What's your exit strategy? Why are you putting an insane amount of hours? Is it for the money? Is it for the fulfillment? Figure out what that is, so that way you can direct where you're going.
Right. Does it keep you out of trouble?
That could be good enough.
Right. Right.
I have some close friends that is like they just dump tons of hours into work, and I'm like, sweet, you're not out there blowing up the world.
Well, right. I mean, I can probably rattle off half a dozen guys over the years I've known that have joined the military for no reason other than keeps them out of trouble. Yeah, they're worried about where they're going to go, you know. And then you see the folks that start making real money, and they don't know how to handle it. That's dangerous too. You know, that's dangerous too.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we've topped an hour. If folks need, now obviously, name of the company is Bergan Windows and Doors.
Correct.
Now, I almost didn't call you last week. We and I had this conversation.
Yeah.
We had wind damage after the tornadoes. We didn't get the tornado here. We were very fortunate. This things could have been, a lot of folks have it.
Neighbors aren't as fortunate.
Right. A lot of people had it way worse. And you know, we're not complaining, but I mean, I almost didn't call you because it was roofing. We had shingles come off and a fence come down. And it didn't. And I looked for Bergan Windows, Doors, Roofing, and Fencing.
And you didn't find it.
I didn't find that one. Yeah. So I almost didn't call you, and I thought, yeah, right. So then I almost didn't call. I said, it's kind of weird. Heather and I were talking, and I said, I should ask Andrew before I go anywhere. Just ask. I mean, just I would. It'd be embarrassing conversation to have a week from now when I have somebody I don't know on my roof doing this. You're like, why didn't you call me?
Yeah.
Because twofold. One, I've got to tell you I didn't call you, right? Yeah. And you didn't get the job. And the second thing, I got to look at some hunyuck on my roof I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like
hunyuck. I have never heard that before. That's awesome. Definitely gonna steal it.
Perfect.
And it has a little bit to do with what I can provide for customers. It's like the skill sets are there, and I can do all of it. The projection of the business is definitely towards the windows and doors.
Sure.
But I think what's more important, I know what's more important in my business, is the ability to be a one-stop shop. Like, why I'm general contracting stuff is because I want to come to you, Jerry, and you're like, hey, I've got the shingles that need to be replaced, but also I have the play toys outside that are all busted up. It's like, oh, okay, well, that's not my area of expertise,
Right.
but Jerry, let me handle it for you.
Yeah.
Because I think that is worth its weight in gold. Like,
Yep.
if I'm going to come into your house and I'm going to tear out your windows, and it's like, hey, the sheetrock has to be, redone around the windows and the siding has to be redone. Me and my crew are doing it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to make you find a sheetrock guy to come in. And so either I can know those specialties to get it taken care of, and it may look like the scope is getting narrowed and then the scope widens back out.
Yeah.
But what I think needs to happen is complete efficiency and professionalism in these things.
Right.
And then it'll start widespread. Like, hey, also we do this and that. But I really want to hold on to that. I can show up, provide for you exactly what you
Right.
need. And since we're friends, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna do that for you.
Yeah.
Just not on the main advertisement piece at this point.
Right.
It's like, if I'm doing jobs for you, it's like, I'd like to take care of as much stuff as you have that you need.
Sure.
That I can. If I can't, I'll just tell you I can't.
Right.
no
Absolutely.
biggie with
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah. No, and there's no hard feelings there either. It's just, it would have been tough if you just, like I said, it would have been a hard conversation to come to me going, who's that guy on your roof, dude?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, why?
Not on your roof no more.
Yeah, it's like, what is this? Who's this guy? You don't even know him, and you hired him over me. It's like, it's like, well, I didn't need windows or a door. Yeah, it's so. So
Absolutely.
yeah, but Broadway Car Care is a great example of that too. For years, I still get calls once in a while to detail their car.
Yeah.
It's
like
like,
a guy.
we're not but we're not a detailer. Is my point. My name, Broadway Car Care. I knew what I meant when I set it up, right? It seemed obvious to me, but the number of people that come in and ask me how much to shampoo their carpet, they want to get the dog hair out, their whatever, the kids spilled this or that. Do you do upholstery? It's like,
Pull a Darwin.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, but I mean, so obviously we did not pick the name very well. It was directing people to the wrong thing. Now, we're with it. It's been 23 years. We're not going anywhere. It's that's what it is. But point being is, I knew what I meant, and I was that focus again.
Yeah.
And I just didn't consider how people would, interpret that name.
Absolutely. 2020 hindsight, though, right?
Right.
I took a few phone calls of, hey, can you shampoo my carpet?
Right.
Like, I see what I did.
Yeah, right. It's exactly right. So that's why I still, the Bergan windows and doors, I pick on you about that, because it's like, you do so much more than that. Yeah. So, but anyway, so people that need windows and doors, or like in my case, a roof and a fence,
Absolutely.
a deck. How do they get a hold of you? What's the best way to get a hold of Andrew Bergan?
Absolutely, best way is by cell phone. So text message or voicemail. If I don't answer, please just leave a voicemail, describe what's going on. Usually it's like a day turnaround. If I'm busy, I'll usually call you the next morning by like, okay, this has the build up of text messages or phone calls.
Sure.
So 507-923-7119.
Awesome.
Otherwise, we have email. I have a website. The website I don't think is attached to anything, but it gives you a display of the crew, some abouts for everybody, projects that we've worked on. It can get you a little familiar. Otherwise, I have a Google business profile out there. So if you're on Google Maps, you can look us up. It'll pop up with our reviews and everything there too.
And Bergan. Bergan.
Bergan.
Okay. All right.
And that'll take you there.
Awesome. Any last words for
that? That about sums it up. No, I appreciate you having me on here.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming out and do it again.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. We can get more deep into all of the good stuff.
Yeah. There's so much more to talk about. We could do hours. We could pull a Joe Rogan here. For 4 hours.
Yeah.
Right.
There we go. All right.
Right.
Oh, sweet.
Awesome.
Thank you, Jerry. I really appreciate it.
You bet, Andrew. Thanks for coming on. Have a great night.
You as well.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.